bringing you the news and information you need from the people making a difference. This is Comcast Newsmakers.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Hess and this is Comcast Newsmakers. Our topic today is positive attitudes in a negative economic climate. Here to discuss it with us is the president of the Tolle Group, which is a leadership development consulting firm right here in the Detroit metropolitan area. Yes. Brian Tolle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Laurel.
Why exactly have we chosen this topic, positive attitudes in a negative economic climate? Why is that so important?
Well, I think why it's important is that as we come out of this negative economic environment, which we're going to eventually, it's important that people have the right attitude and understand themselves in that situation, being in a negative environment, so that they can do something about it, so that we can collectively move this region forward. And knowing that about yourself and how you deal with negativity is going to make a huge difference in how you can make a contribution to move the area forward.
So if we're just all collectively more positive, things will get better?
Yes, yes. But we have to understand how we view negativity, because each one of us is going to take a different approach of how we view negativity. Some of us view negativity as just a minor blip, a speed bump, and they're like, let's just plow right through it. And for them, change is, no big deal. I like change. For other folks, they hate change. They're going to view this situation of a changing environment very negatively, and that's going to drag them down. So knowing yourself and how you view change and negativity is going to make a huge difference in how you approach going forward.
So what can we as individuals do, and what can the leaders in our community do to help create a more positive environment to help get through these tough times?
Yes. One, let's start with the individual. First of all, I always say know thyself. So appreciate how you view change and how you may need to adapt that to move forward. So as I said before, some people view change as no big deal. Other folks view it as a very negative thing. So work through that, understand yourself as well as you can. For the leaders, we constantly need them to point towards the future and what that new world is going to look like for our area. And that's the key element of great leadership, is that they can paint a picture of the future and give us an idea of how we can move from here to there.
Change is happening right here in Metro Detroit, whether we like it or not. Right. So it sounds like what you're saying is you need to embrace it one way or another, because you can't stop it.
Yes, and there's great opportunities in a changing environment. So one of the examples I use is the auto industry is obviously going through a lot of changes, but there's a lot of companies that provide that new technology, that this is a booming economy for them. So there's always going to be opportunities, and it takes the individual to look for those things and then grab onto them. It can be a great situation to be in a very changing environment.
Are Metro Detroiters a rare breed? Are we resistant to change more than folks in other cities?
I wouldn't say so. I've worked in different areas, and I've lived in Chicago for a number of years. I just think this is our time to go through a process that maybe some other metro areas have already gone through. And everything I see in the papers is pretty much plotting out how people embrace change. A certain amount of denial, a certain amount of, oh, maybe this is for real, and then, okay, what am I going to do about it? And I actually think we're kind of coming out of that denial phase. So I think it's just our time to go through a lot of change that other areas have already gone through.
Very quickly, how should we react when day after day after day the headlines are negative, when the folks who don't live in our city are telling us what a terrible city we have?
Yes. I think you have to focus in on, sometimes you don't want to read all the news out there. It can get too negative for you, and focus in on the areas that you can have an impact on in your sphere of influence.
So even if you just can't change the world, maybe you can make a little difference today, make a small positive impact on just one person's life, and if you can do that, you've done something good.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for helping us all think a little more positively.
Okay, thanks, Laurel.
Yeah. Today's Comcast Newsmaker was the president of the Tolle Group, Brian Tolle.